It's a level of immaturity that a lot of brothers need to grow out of. That world revolving around you, not considering anyone else, not considering anything else, not considering the repercussions of your actions, not considering the repercussion of your words, not considering the repercussion of you not holding your word and doing what you're supposed to do. And what I noticed with those people is that they don't have any excuses. They don't have any empathy or compassion when it comes to others. But whoa. They got a lot of excuses when it comes to themselves.
Take back control. Stop letting algorithms decide your news. Get uncensored history and real knowledge to strengthen your mind, body, and spirit. Watch ad-free content now at iNeverKnewTV.com preview.
Well, let me hear you say mountain.
Fire, what you saying?
Yes, fire key. Red fire burn, you know?
Serious thing. We are here again, Baldhead and the Dread Podcast. Give thanks for everyone tuning in from those times till now. Have to let the people know, or Fire, let the people know what's going on. 420 this Sunday here in Brooklyn.
Yeah, for we may concern, you know, 420, 1032 Union Street at Ital Kitchen, Baldhead and the Dread, alongside Ital Kitchen, Vital Shop, and the Griggs Brothers. So good vibration, high vibration. Come out and check it out.
No, serious thing. Have to remind the people too, merch is back for I Never Knew TV, so make sure you check it out at the iNeverKnewTV.com store. Fire, what we're reasoning about today?
Yeah, today we're reasoning about when ego gets in the way of progress. Because ideally, every man have ego, but sometimes we tend to mistake the concept of ego and delusion, where it kind of takes us out of space and put in a predicament that is definitely not beneficial for us as an individual or even as a collective, you know. So the definition of being egotistical is being excessively conceited or observed in oneself, basically being self-centered, right?
No, serious thing, man. And I've been observing over the years, especially of recently. I don't know, I've been paying attention more. It's been higher, but there seems to be it's a crisis of lack of confidence coupled with a crisis this egomaniac vibe going on. You know, I'm seeing a lot of men that have what they call it, a grandioso. They have a grandioso, I would just say a delusional outlook on their capabilities and where they are at this time. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not knocking anyone's potential, right? But the thing I find disturbing is that because their ego is so big, they're not open to information. And the thing that they're trying to get, they're not doing the work that's needed to get to that thing. They think they're already there when they're not there. And I think that's where we have a big problem. And it's actually stunting a lot of brothers because I've always been a man who was tremendously thirsty. Can't even say can, I am a person who's always tremendously thirsty for information. I acquire information from everyone. I'm always going to people who are progressive or who have experience in the area for information. And I feel a lot of brothers feel they're above that. And if a person's not, I'll use sports, for example, if a person's not, they can't even be in the NBA Fire. They need to be LeBron, right? If the person's not LeBron, they can't get any information from that person, or they can't use any examples from that person. And I think that's what that's stunting a lot of brothers. And the brothers are too, they're above doing certain things, not no mix up. I'm talking about regards to things that's needed so they can grow in their craft or grow themselves or provide for themselves.
Yeah, that's where the delusion come in, because when you think you're above certain things, but you don't have any track record to prove that you've actually earned this position, you've earned this respect, you've earned these resources. You're not in that position to really put yourself on that pedestal as yet. Well, in a head, you can have yourself as being great. Okay, that's the level that I want to be, but how can I get there? You can't just leave from being a person who is not consistent at a basic task and reach at the highest level. And that is the delusion where a lot of people trick themselves, and then mix with that now, they don't rate or respect anybody. So your ego now have you not rating and respect anybody now. Okay, oh, he did that. All right, cool. I can do that too now. Or you can do it when you don't. That man practice every single day to do the most basic thing.
That point in regard not rating people, I noticed that. I don't know if it's a graceful thing too. So we have to factor that in. So I don't know if it's a jealousy thing or just a full-blown delusional thing. Because as I said, if you're not at the apex of what you do, people don't give you no ratings. And I think it's a cultural thing. And we see it specifically with the youth. Recently had a conversation with a guest who we're talking about the generation gap. And I experienced this as an educator. And like with this generation, when I'll use basketball as an example, fire, you could translate to football. When I was playing basketball, I don't care if you was D1 JUCO, as long as you was playing college basketball, especially you was in the league, you was like a deity to us, right? You could be the last man on the bench. The fact that you were there. But with this generation, they could care less, fire. You have to be the beyond 1% for them to earn your respect. And that's a recipe for disaster. Because one, how many people are going to be there and when are you going to have access to that person? So if you never have access to that person, everyone you have access to is whack. They can't tell you nothing. So how you going to learn? So that behavior now, this generation has trained the younger generation not to respect anyone. And I feel that that's one of the reasons for this generation gap. We complain about it, but we're the reason for it because they see you day in and day out not respecting anyone. I don't care what a person accomplishes, right? It's like it's whatever, it's disregarded. People love saying stuff is whack, trash is the word, and everything is trash. And I was like, how can you how can you, a person who has not done even a 0 point to the 1,000th% of what this person has done, I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize people, but you have to acknowledge the greatness within that person, because for that person to get to that spot or get to that level where they could do the task at that level, fire, it's been such a level of dedication. Why can't we as a culture acknowledge the dedication people have towards their craft, the resilience they have towards their craft? Then we have to factor in fire the white validation. Now that's the stamp. If you are not validated by white America, you are not good. So we have all those things coming at us, and it's like a man, you know, he can sit on the sideline and criticize, which most people do, but it's like, how is that behavior helping you move forward? You have blinded yourself to everything you can learn from this person, and just focus on what you see as a fault, or you focus on what's a lack of accomplishment.
Yeah, it really brings across a point too, because when we think about the concept of critique and criticism, criticism have to come from certain places for it to even make sense, right? Do you ever think about criticism from an outsider, a person probably like a supporter or a fan or whatever, the game or whatnot, criticize? Their criticism is based on watching, observing, learning, and knowing the game, not being physically active to it, but observation. That's an observational criticism, right? Critiquing it because, say, example, say a player come out of a spot and they know that that player is supposed to be disciplined enough to stay in that spot. They can criticize that player for losing the game because that player was out of position or whatnot, right? So that's one angle of criticism where a person don't have to necessarily be that expert playing the game for critique it, but they want to know that any mistakes, any basic mistakes, we can avoid basic mistakes, and that's based off of observation. Then you have that next criticism based off of experience. Based off of experience, you criticize because you know personally know that this is an angle that can be improved, but it was not done in a manner where there was improvements could be put into place. But when we think about the criticism that most people give, it's not a criticism for lift up any form of deal with any form of positivity. It's just a criticism for really bring down a person, and it shows that people don't understand the process. Because if I'm on a man think about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Steph Curry, anybody name we want to think about, don't let them do the come in at the game through a draft. A draft had to take place. They have to come in the game through a draft. And when they come into the draft through a draft, they're a rookie. The first season they're a rookie. All did they start accomplishing all of these things in the beginning? What happened when the more senior players were in the game and they were coming in? They had to be on the bench, rubbing the bench, watching the game, learning the ins and outs until they get to prove themselves. So you see, this concept of us not respecting the man on the bench is a wicked piece of concept, because the fact that he could even make the bench, it shows that there's a capability in him, or there's a set of discipline in him, and something where him can actually carry out for even reach to that level. And then you have to have that middle tier, you have to have that high tier, you have to have that low tier. But when we think about just the way how the ego work it and the ego drive it, the ego cut out all of that concept and feel like say, every single thing is just a top. Then if you have a roof and you don't have a wall or a solid foundation, how the roof will go well up?
Real talk, fire. And this is a it's a level of immaturity that a lot of brothers need to grow out of and develop out of, because that world revolving around you, not considering anyone else, not considering anything else, not considering the repercussions of your actions, not considering the repercussion of your words, not considering the repercussion of you not holding your word and doing what you're supposed to do. And what I noticed with those people is that they don't have any excuses. They don't have any empathy or compassion when it comes to others. But whoa, whoa, whoa. They got a lot of excuses when it comes to themselves. When things don't work out, it's everyone else's fault. Has nothing to do with them. And that's the part that stops progress. I'm not telling anyone to beat yourself up. Be as compassionate as you can with yourself, but you have to be realistic with yourself. You can be great. Let me say this. You can consider yourself great, but a realistic approach is I haven't reached the level of greatness that I'm striving for. I see myself for. You're delusional if you say if you say you're great and you haven't reached that level, you haven't been working towards that level, and you just say you're great. I'm the greatest. You may be the greatest, but you haven't grown into that greatness yet, and you need a lot of work to do. And
That's a ball long back to the circles we mentioned earlier, because you see that circle, it feed the delusion, because you might be in certain circles that you make one small accomplishment and they just feed that delusion. Now you think you're almighty. You've won it before. Say example, you do a D1, you play D1 and you win the championship. Automatically you might have yourself as being the greatest of all times, but you win one title. And then that title don't make you the greatest. That title shows you that this is a part of your journey. There's a long way to go on the journey. But winning this one title, it definitely help you get to that next step. But you think that next step has come already because of your circle, boosting up your head, pumping up all of that ego and feeding you a lot of illusions that you don't need at that time. While if you were around a more progressive circle, even after winning that title, they will tell you, humble, there's more to come. We still have a long journey to go.
Gafari, this is what I learned. Specifically being around reggae artists. Sports is a little different because if you are good, you're gonna find yourself around better people just to thrive, right? And it kind of humble you. What I notice is that though, people don't want to go around a circle where they're not praised. And people don't want to go around a circle where they're not seen as the greatest thing. So for a lot of people, that's intentionally done to stay in that specific area. Because if you go in another area, one, don't nobody know you. So that's a big shock to the ego. Don't nobody reach you. That's a big shock to the ego. And what I really notice about men is that you got to watch out for dudes that don't like being around people that's in a better situation than them, that's smarter than them. They kind of fool and they get very insecure about that. My man, just observing, like people really feel a way about being around people that's really doing it. They don't like that because now in their ego driven world, they got to look into themselves and get exposed and say, yeah, I'm not really doing that. And I can't lie about this. Not with that person around.
Cut them down to size and they
cut them right down
to size.
But here goes the thing. Those are the people you should be seeking counsel from. So this goes back to what I said earlier, because of your ego and because you don't want to, you're the greatest thing on earth. When you actually have access to a person, you're avoiding it. And that's the person you really need to be interacting with. It's something about being fire. Listen, I was around Anthony Browder for a day, right? And there's something about being in the presence of greatness. They don't have to teach you anything direct. Just being in that presence, because you know how much resilience this man had to have to get where he did in life for decades, doing something that's never been done. That's how I look at stuff, tell you the truth. I know everybody looking at everything dollars and cents and all, but those are things I want to rub up on me when I'm around certain people or being around certain elders that really did it for a long time. It's a blessing just to be in their presence and get some of that energy. But now it's like F you,
mindset thing.
F that, and find a problem, find a fault. The man got lint on his shirt. Oh, it's this. Why are we focusing on this other foolishness? Why we can't give thanks that you're around someone that's been doing great things and see what we can learn from that person? Why are we looking at all this pointless stuff? Oh, far right hat white, but the shirt If you're a French white, why is that an issue? Anything to deflect, anything to demean, anything to put down, anything not to acknowledge a person's greatness. And the funny thing is, your life will change so much when you acknowledge people's greatness. Fire. When you say, "Yo,
But you know,
it's just a tough, or a homeboy tough."
funny enough, yes, we still can't be delusional. So speaking about delusional, it takes, you have to go through a certain type of journey.
No, serious. I go
Yeah,
ahead. I know you saying.
really, yeah, really feel and be exposed to certain type of surroundings, and then your mindset have to really change. So in the defense, I like a lot of people who are egotistic. They haven't been exposed to certain things. They haven't get that mindset. They haven't gotten that mindset shift as yet. So it takes time. It's almost like a superpower in a sense. Really, see a man doing a mission, and like, I did not try to put yourself in the shoes. I haven't accomplished these things as yet. What can I learn from this situation? It takes a certain type of mindset and a certain type of person for really get themselves in that spot, because it's really all right. It might seem like, okay, or I will never be egotistical. I would never ever think this way about somebody. But you would be surprised how easy it is to see a man who is striving and find that smallest problem for just bring him down. It's almost like it's so easy. In fact, it's more difficult to respect him and rate him and say, what can I learn from this man? Because remember, we're talking about human beings, and most people don't understand. Most people can't get this concept. Every single human being has a flaw, and then it's all of these flaws that we're highlighting, and then just one flaw that we spot and highlight, it shows us off from learning from this person.
Far, what you're saying is a serious sound, right? But the thing is that the thing I'm concerned about, the thing I observe is that the progress and that ego thing kind of a weird situation. You need ego still. I'm talking about the level that we're talking about, where it's delusional. It's like your ego, they don't understand, because I've been there. So I'm not want to be a hypocrite. Fire. We grow around these things. We socialize for that. We're not socialized to see greatness, especially in Black people. So let's just keep that clear. Fire. So this is something you got to unlearn, like other things we have to unlearn, right? But the thing they're not understanding is it's detrimental. It is so detrimental. I can't even quantify how detrimental it is, because you can't even be in certain places because your ego and your insecurity won't allow you to be there. Your energy just off. It won't work. Fire, listen. I done been amongst some people, right? With some other people, some great people. And once the people let Fight, this man come to me with some mix up about the person, it's just like, I don't understand. Why are we was just around this person for this hours, and that's the only thing you could see? You was just around this great man, talking to him and chilling, and that's the only thing you could see, Fight? How is that possible? This man done gave you 2-3 hours a game. We here vibing, and the only thing you can see is this thing that's a pointless thing anyway. It's totally pointless, has nothing to do with nothing. So you're not ready. The thing you so claim you want, you're not ready for it. How a man want greatness, he don't want greatness for nobody else, far right? You supposed to be only great man on earth? You supposed to be only progressive person on earth?
All right.
No, that's the psychology. If you really break it down, everybody's supposed to just be in mediocre land. You're supposed to be the only great person on work, and on top of that, you ain't even putting in no work. No, we need to move away from that delusion, man. We need to move away from that illusion. And when you see greatness in people, first of all, see the greatness in yourself. First thing, see the greatness in yourself and work towards that idea you have of yourself, because you're not there yet. It is what it is. And who's to say if we'll ever get there? But we always can work towards it. So do that first. When you observe other people, practice. If you find yourself the fault finding, check yourself. We gotta start giving homework, far right. That's homework for this week, yeah. If you find yourself fault finding, check yourself and say, hold on now. Nah, this not the most important thing going on with this person. Yeah. This person great. Give them a little conversation, man. Hey, how you do this? Or, you know, or you could observe from a distance. Oh, yeah, I see they do this every day. Let me
And
try that.
and you know the funniest part about it too, fire. You know, said the person who you criticize don't even have to be great, you know. That person could even be a bum. That person could you could be right,
And
right?
they have greatness in them, though.
And they have greatness in
All
them.
right. We want to be clear.
All right. So you just highlight the greatness that's in them. You know that all right. The negative that you see overrides the positive or the greatness in them. Cool. That's their problem as an individual. What can you take out of somebody that's good and leave your life good? Because I think most people have this thing, have this whole concept misconstrued. Like the negative is supposed to always get the highlight as opposed to the positive. Why the positive can't win? Why positivity can't just be the norm in your mind? And if positivity is not the norm in your mind, that means you're a negative person. It's very simple as that.
Don't call nobody a negative person, far right.
No, it's very simple, fire, because
We can't call nobody a negative person. They don't want to hear that.
we've been there, no. We've been there before, like we've been there before too. And sometimes we understand it's based on the culture. A lot of these negativity is not necessarily brought up by you, you know, but you become that propaganda agent of that negativity because somebody might bring it to you, and then you bring that conversation to someone else, and hear what this whole thing get brought out of proportion, while not understanding that your greatness that you think you have is not impeded by the greatness of a next man or the works of a next man.
You know, when you
It's
say
very
that,
basic.
that may be the source of the thing. Maybe it's a delusion mixed with gratefulness, fire. Because you exposing me now to levels I think I should be on. I ain't reached that level yet, so I got a FU vibe towards you. Who are you to expose me?
No, may I say the funniest thing? We'll share one. You know, the funniest thing I've ever heard somebody say. All right, a man come and a man appear and Jimmy Fallon night show. I've hear a man say, "Oh, it must sell out because him reach pan Jimmy Fallon night show." For you, like, oh, him sell out because him reach pan a show promoting him music. So it just goes to show you the mindset. Like it's like you can't achieve anything without people thinking. And you see this sellout concept, for you, probably we need to talk about this differently, because this concept of being a sellout, some of the most basic and simplistic things that I've heard people being labeled as sellout for, it's very amusing for you. Like it's amusing to me, like the way how people label people as sellout for do some basic things that even you in yourself can achieve. And then it goes to show on the flip side, as you mentioned about the whole white media and all of these things, it's just that they wish they were the person getting that white validation.
That's all.
And
That's all it is.
of it.
All right. That's all it is. Because anytime they get the opportunity to fight, they gonna do the same thing, you know, and do it even harder. Don't get it twisted. Hey, I always got the saying, you know, like a lot of people, pro-black people, conscious people, political people, they're full of crap. They don't have an issue with the system. They have an issue with their position in the system. Fire. They don't have no issue with the system. They're too concerned about no injustices, no disparities. They just mad because they on the other side of that. You see it in colonialism, fire. Once a man get power, he deal with the people. Wicked. What the British do to the indigenous people here when they got here. They dealt with them way worse than what they was receiving. Imagine that. You leave religious persecution to deal with the people way worse than what you receive. So you didn't have an issue how you was dealt with. You just had an issue what side of the fence you was on. Yeah, serious thing. But we give thanks for everyone tuning in, man. We just ask you to first see the greatness in yourself. Be realistic with yourself. You know, don't be delusional. We all are work in progress. I'm telling you, and life is but a long lesson. a long what they call them in college, the test exam. Lesson in exams, you know, and to take the time, I think that's a great practice to have the first see the greatness in yourself, to acknowledge if you're getting a little delusional, see the greatness in others and see what behaviors you can adopt, and also to have the courage to talk to another person because you talk about them.
And stop the competitive bullshit in your mind too, because I think that is the whole thing, killing this whole thing. For you. Not, if a man great, a man is great for you. It doesn't matter if that man has flaws. Take the greatness and keep it moving. Focus on, if you're gonna be self-centered, focus on yourself in that way.
Not serious thing.